Today is Tuesday, November 12th. What to know about President-elect Trump's key staffing decisions so far, and a major update on which party will get control of the House. Also, a Spirit Airlines flight was diverted after being hit by gunfire in Haiti. Plus, what a new report found about Americans' drinking habits after the pandemic, a new way to find your lost luggage after your flight, and how the Vatican is partnering with Microsoft to bring AI to a famous monument. Those stories and even more news to know next. Welcome to The Newsworthy. All the day's news in around 10 minutes. Fast, fair, fun, and on the go. I'm Erica Mandy. Thanks so much for being here. You ready? Let's do this. President-elect Trump is offering some new clues into how he'll start off his second term by announcing some key staffing decisions. For example, several news outlets cite sources who say Senator Marco Rubio will be named Secretary of State, and Congressman Mike Waltz will be National Security Advisor. Both advocate for taking stronger positions against American adversaries like China. Separately, the president-elect is bringing back two figures from his last administration who are both known for their hardline stances on immigration. Stephen Miller, who was a senior advisor last time, is going to be the Deputy Chief of Staff for Policy. And Tom Homan, who led the Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency last time, will be the new border czar. Both Miller and Homan have strongly advocated for the so-called zero-tolerance approach, including the decision to separate thousands of immigrant families at the border. Also, Trump chose former Congressman Lee Zeldin to lead the Environmental Protection Agency. Zeldin does not have any formal experience in environmental issues, but Trump said he chose Zeldin because he'll remove regulations without sacrificing air and water quality. Then there's Congresswoman Elise Stefanik. Trump said he picked her as his next ambassador to the United Nations because she believes in putting America first. She's also a firm supporter of Israel and plans to meet with Israeli President Isaac Herzog when he visits Washington, D.C. today. Still, we're waiting on Trump's choices for other influential positions, like the Secretaries of Defense, Treasury, and Homeland Security. He'll also be choosing a new Attorney General, as well as new FBI and CIA directors. President-elect Trump says he's prioritizing both experience and loyalty this time around, and that only true believers in him and the Make America Great Again movement will be allowed into the federal government. It looks like the federal government is in for a GOP trifecta. Already, we've told you Republicans won control of the White House and the U.S. Senate. And now the data provider Decision Desk HQ says they'll have power over the U.S. House, too. Technically, 15 races still aren't called, but it's believed Democrats won't be winning enough of them to have a shot at the majority. This is expected to tremendously help President-elect Trump get his agenda passed quickly. Already, top Republicans have been working on plans for bills they can send Trump in the first 100 days of total GOP control. They include extending tax cuts, boosting border wall funding, repealing climate initiatives, and more. A Spirit Airlines flight from Fort Lauderdale, Florida to Port-au-Prince in Haiti was hit with gunfire right before landing. The plane was forced to divert and landed in the Dominican Republic instead. One flight attendant on board reported minor injuries, but otherwise everyone is okay. JetBlue and American Airlines canceled flights to and from Haiti until at least Thursday. In fact, the main airport in Port-au-Prince is now temporarily closed to all air traffic. This is actually the second time in just 2 months an aircraft in Haiti has been hit by gunfire. A United Nations helicopter was shot at recently, and gangs fired on 2 U.S. Embassy vehicles traveling in Port-au-Prince last month. The U.S. Embassy there now says it's aware of gang-led efforts to block travel to the city. The capital of Haiti was overrun by gangs earlier this year, shutting down the airport. Kenya sent hundreds of police officers to help restore at least some peace, allowing it to reopen. But the gangs are still known to be active in the area, and political turmoil is escalating again. The Spirit Airlines attack comes just one day after Haiti's interim prime minister was fired by a transitional presidential council, and just before a new prime minister was sworn in. A new report found extreme weather over the past decade has not just been devastating, it's also been expensive. The International Chamber of Commerce estimated around 4,000 global weather events cost the world around $2 trillion in damage, cleanup, and other expenses. It looked between 2014 and 2023, when extreme weather affected 1.6 billion people. Almost $500 billion of the costs came during just the last 2 years of the study. While large countries like America and China sustained the most damage in terms of total dollar amount, on a per-person basis, islands like the Bahamas and Puerto Rico bore the brunt of the economic loss. Authors of the report say extreme weather's economic impact is on par with the 2008 global financial crisis and should be met with the same kind of swift, large-scale response that disaster prompted. The report comes as the COP29 climate conference begins in Baku, Azerbaijan, where world leaders come together to discuss the future of fighting climate change. We have more news for you still coming up, but first, a quick break for our sponsor. Are you ready to better understand your unique body and how it works? How to optimize its function? Lumen is the world's first handheld metabolic coach. It measures your unique metabolism, and it's as easy as breathing into the device. After just about a week, it understands your body's metabolism and gives you personalized guidance to improve your nutrition and workouts, to promote fat burn, lose weight, and/or just boost your energy naturally. Lumen can even help support sleep and stress management. Your metabolism is your body's engine. It's how your body turns the food you eat into fuel that keeps you going. Because your metabolism is at the center of everything your body does, optimal metabolic health translates to a bunch of benefits. For women, it can even track your cycle and adjust your recommendations to keep your metabolism healthy through hormonal shifts. So if you want to take the next step in improving your health, go to lumen.me/newsworthy to get 15% off your Lumen. That's lumen.me/newsworthy for 15% off your purchase. Thank you, Lumen, for sponsoring this episode. Now back to the news. President Biden said farewell to the armed services in his final Veterans Day address yesterday at Arlington National Cemetery, saying as Commander-in-Chief, it's been the greatest honor of his life to lead, serve, care for, and defend them. Biden mentioned how his own son was deployed to Iraq before he died of cancer. The president also discussed his decision to pull the U.S. military from Afghanistan, saying he was determined to end America's longest war. And he committed to doing more with the time left in the White House by expanding healthcare access for veterans exposed to toxic chemicals and their families. Biden was joined by Vice President Kamala Harris in their first appearance together since the election. More than a century after her death, Harriet Tubman got a promotion. Maryland's governor and the state's National Guard posthumously made the famous abolitionist a general to honor her service during the Civil War. Tubman commanded troops in a raid on a ferry that freed around 750 enslaved people, becoming the first African-American woman to serve the U.S. military in combat and the first woman to lead an armed military assault. She became famous for her work leading slaves to freedom on the Underground Railroad, which she helped establish after escaping slavery herself in 1849. During the Civil War, the Maryland native also served the Union as a scout, spy, cook, and nurse. Americans started drinking more during the pandemic, and a new report shows that habit lasted years. Researchers looked at drinking patterns between 2018 and 2020 and found a noticeable uptick in alcohol consumption when the pandemic started in 2020. Then, when they looked at data from 2022, they found drinking had not returned to pre-pandemic levels. There's no data yet for the time beyond 2022, so it's not clear whether the trend has continued. Researchers say it's unusual for these kinds of behavioral shifts to last years, though the pandemic presented unique challenges for an extended period of time. And people didn't have easy access to resources that may have helped limit drinking. Doctors say the trend is worrying because many people may not realize their current drinking habits put them at an increased risk of various cancers, liver disease, dementia, and other illnesses later in life. Well, Apple is trying to make it easier for people to find things they've lost. The latest iOS update includes a new feature for AirTags and other items connected to the Find My app. It lets people share a map locating any items you've tagged, at least temporarily. It could be particularly useful if a person is traveling and has lost luggage with an AirTag. A traveler could use the new Share Item Location tool to send a real-time map to an airline that shows exactly where the lost bag is. The map updates automatically when the tag moves and includes timestamps showing when a tag was in a certain place. Apple is even partnering with more than a dozen airlines, including major American carriers like Delta and United, to make sharing the map with airline employees private and secure. Apple says it will roll out Share Item Location to anyone with an iPhone 10 or later soon, but didn't give an exact timeline. Artificial intelligence has arrived at the Vatican. The home of the Pope teamed up with Microsoft to create an AI twin of the world-famous St. Peter's Basilica. Not only will the AI version of the Basilica let people experience the Vatican without having to travel there, but the precision technology used to create the replica will also help preserve the historic church, since it's able to identify cracks and other damage not easily visible to the human eye. To create the AI model, workers stitched together 400,000 images, taken with drones, cameras, and lasers. Microsoft's president called the project one of the most advanced and sophisticated of its kind. The AI tools unveiled yesterday are part of the Roman Catholic Church's 2025 Jubilee, a holy year that comes along every quarter of a century. More tourists than usual are expected to come to the Vatican, which is already one of the most visited monuments in the world. The new AI tools will also help the Vatican manage crowds and provide enhanced in-person experiences along with the virtual tours. Well, that's it for the main news today, so now it's time for Trivia Tuesday, when we ask a different trivia question every week. But first, this episode is brought to you by ZocDoc. Even when we do everything we can to take care of ourselves, sometimes we need a little extra support to keep us healthy or help us recover. We all deserve a team of experts who care, and when it comes to our health, there is no compromise. So don't go back to that doctor who makes you feel bad or uncomfortable. Instead, check out ZocDoc. ZocDoc is a free app and website where you can search and compare high-quality in-network doctors, choose the right one for your needs, and click to instantly book an appointment. We're talking about in-network appointments with more than 100,000 healthcare providers across every specialty, from mental health to dental health, eye care to skincare, and much more. Plus, ZocDoc appointments happen fast, typically within just 24 to 72 hours of booking. You can even score same-day appointments. I check ZocDoc anytime I'm looking for a new doctor to support my most valuable asset, my health. So stop putting off those doctor's appointments and go to ZocDoc.com/newsworthy to find and instantly book a top-rated doctor today. That's ZocDoc.com/newsworthy. ZocDoc.com/newsworthy. Okay, now back to Trivia Tuesday. And today's trivia question is, how many elements are currently on the periodic table? You can play along with us in our weekly roundup email that comes out each Friday. Simply sign up to get it at thenewsworthy.com/email. As for last week's trivia question, what are the 3 requirements to run for U.S. president? The answer is be a natural-born citizen of the United States, be at least 35 years old, and have been a resident of the United States for 14 years. Well, these requirements are in the United States Constitution and haven't changed since it went into effect in 1789. Technically, natural-born has an asterisk since the founding fathers writing the Constitution were born English subjects. The 14-year residency requirement is unique to the presidency. No other elected office has one. And keep in mind, at the time, voters would have had very little access to information about a candidate who had lived abroad for a long stretch of time. As for the 35-year-old minimum, a candidate must be that age by the time they're sworn in. So a 34-year-old could win the presidential election as long as they'll be 35 by the inauguration. And although women and people of color were not part of the electoral process when the nation was founded, the U.S. Constitution was unique for its time because it did not explicitly prevent someone from running because of their wealth, religion, or other social qualifications. Later constitutional amendments added certain disqualifications for potential candidates. The 14th Amendment prevents anyone who participates in an insurrection or rebellion from becoming president. And the 22nd Amendment prevents former presidents from running again after they've already served 2 terms. Well, thank you so much for making time to listen today. We'll be back tomorrow with the latest news to know, so be sure to join us again. Until then, have a great day.